Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. This is the third episode of the podcast, and today, we're blessed enough to be joined by Fakemews. He's a really big streamer, in my opinion, really big. He's someone that I watched when I first started streaming. Someone I was, when you first start, you start looking at what other streamers are like, and it's someone that took my attention. So, yeah, definitely Fakemews. Welcome, bro.
Yeah, I'm actually tiny in size, but I have a lot of people who watch my stream at times. I'm only 5'8", so I'm actually really, really tiny. So I want to clarify that. I know some of the people who are watching your podcast may know that I'm not that big, so I just wanted to clarify your size analogy there. But yeah,
just get it out of the way. Nice. Well, yeah, awesome, bro. I'm super happy that you decided to come and hang out. And yeah, I guess a good place to start is just maybe for people that don't know who you are, maybe just telling them who you are and where you're from and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm Fakemews. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, home of Space Camp and nothing else. So if you're not coming here for Space Camp, don't come here. I started playing Gods Unchained in October of 2020. And at the time, I thought I was getting in late, but apparently I was getting in relatively early. So I also started streaming then. My first stream was on October 30th of 2020 on my old Twitch channel, and I'm known for rebranding constantly. I've also rebranded my YouTube recently, different reasons, but first one I got in a fight with Elon Musk and then had to rebrand my channel. So Fake News TV is actually my second Twitch channel. And then most recently, about a couple of weeks ago, I lost my YouTube channel because the University of Alabama switched servers, and apparently that my email linked there meant that I couldn't access my channel anymore. It was the strangest thing, so I made a new YouTube channel. But yeah, I consider myself a pretty competitive player. I'm on Team Infinite Mana, which is the first professional Gods Unchained team. So that's pretty exciting for me, and I take the game pretty seriously, try to play my best, and I think on stream some of that passion and fire comes out for sure.
That sounds good, bro. We'll definitely put the link up to your stream under here and also your YouTube. I've been watching your YouTube. I actually modeled one of my new Magic decks after one that you put up, and you ironically said in your YouTube video that you were winning a lot with it. You didn't really know why, and you didn't feel comfortable so much going into the mechanics too much, but you did anyway. And I thought the deck was really good. Like, you're the one that showed me the whole, spell boost, unannounced arrival kind of combos, like just how important that is. Like, I learned a lot from your YouTube, so check it out, guys. And good job.
Yeah, that was actually the first time I ever got back-to-back top 10s, and it was with a deck I wasn't confident about. It was a weird situation because the first top 10 I got, I actually started 0-2 playing another deck, and then went 22-1 with that Magic deck. And that was right when I was coming back from vacation, which ended up being an extended vacation because I got stranded in Vancouver due to a positive COVID diagnosis, despite having no symptoms.
That sucks, man. That sucks. So you had to lock down or what, stay there for 2 weeks?
Well, I had to stay there for 5 days, and then I got to retake another test. The next test came back negative, so I was able to fly back home after that. But yeah, basically, for international flights entering the United States, you have to have a negative COVID test within the past 24 hours. Otherwise, you can't fly. So I did pass my second test. The first one I'm a bit suspicious of whether or not the test was accurate, but it doesn't matter whether or not it's accurate or not. You fail the test. They actually scan your passport before taking the test. So if I tried to fly, then, the whole international scene is going to take me down. And I just decided to chill out in Vancouver for 5 days. And Vancouver's a beautiful city and a nice city, though I didn't get to explore as much of it as I would have liked to because of the quarantine. But the first day before I took the test, I walked for about 20 kilometers all throughout the city of Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, all around the seawall. Very beautiful city. And then I took the test and it came back positive. I'm like, I'm not feeling sick. I just walked for 20 kilometers, and if I had something wrong with me, then I would not have been that active. I can promise you that much.
Yeah. Well, some of these, first of all, I guess there's worse place to be stranded than in Vancouver City. That's for sure. I mean,
oh yeah. It's a beautiful city for sure.
Oh yeah, from what I've seen, I've never been. I'd like to, but we also had that in Australia. We had a bunch of false positives where, like, people were putting up on their TikToks and stuff where they'd put like a test under the tap water and it would go positive. Like it was a bunch of false positives. So they need to, if they're going to regulate people's lives off those tests, they need to, I think, make them a bit more accurate.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they're very accurate. They're like 90% accurate. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that means they're 10% inaccurate. That seems to be a pretty big problem when...
That's not that accurate.
When you have, potentially big consequences. Of course, the place that I read that may not have been a very reliable source. It is the internet, after all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, wow. Well, I mean... I used to really like going on long walks in new cities, but that was because I was so addicted, and still am addicted to Pokemon Go.
Oh, I play Pokemon Go as well.
Yes.
We'll have to add each other and send each other gifts or something.
Yeah, I'll add you to. But did you play in Vancouver at all?
Oh yeah. I played some in Vancouver. I'm not as addicted as I once was to Pokemon Go, but I still do play sometimes, actually more when I'm on vacation, exploring new cities. I love the app for exploring new cities because you can kind of tell where you should go. If you see a large concentration of Pokemon stops, you're like, maybe I should go in that area and see what's so exciting. And if you look in one direction and there's like nothing there, then you're like, well, maybe there's not much to explore over there. Maybe I've missed some things because of that. But generally, I've had some good luck. I really enjoyed it in Alaska for a lot of places because it can be difficult to know where to go. Everything is so spread out, but the app kind of helped with that as well.
Yeah, no, Pokemon Go, it's huge, man. Like, I knew some people that were, when it first came out, I think it was 2016, I had some friends that were quite heavily depressed and some friends that were quite heavily obese, and they never really left the house. And then I remember about a year later, 2017, maybe even 2018, these people had lost a bunch of weight. They'd lost a bunch of social anxiety because they had to go out and spin the Pokestops and, get the quest, get eggs and walk their eggs. And then if they wanted to do big raids and 5-star raids, they'd have to interact, So it actually, some people were talking down on it. The way people were talking about Pokemon Go reminded me of the way people spoke about Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s. Like, there's these fanatics that were super against it. And I'm like, well, there's lots of positives, some people don't find that easy to socialize.
Yeah, I think the positives greatly outweigh any potential negatives. The only negatives I would have toward Pokemon Go is some people would play it in the car and be driving while playing Pokemon Go. That is not very safe. But I think most people who played it, then generally you would go to certain areas and you would meet up with other people in those general areas with large Pokemon stops. Like where I live in Huntsville, Alabama, there's like 3 places to go for playing the game. That's very effective with a lot of stops nearby. But if you go to any of those areas on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're gonna run into tons of people. You're gonna be able to get raids, and it is an opportunity to socialize for people who, like me, are naturally social people IRL. I'm very comfortable with online. Obviously, I have a Twitch channel. If I wasn't comfortable talking online, then I wouldn't be a Twitch streamer. But in real life, I'm not super social at all, and I think that's kind of normal for the gaming space.
Oh no, absolutely. We're definitely different people online than we are in real life. It's just easier to be social, and it's funny you said that about streaming because that's what got me. That's what actually got me to start streaming as well, man. Just I was getting pretty down in the dumps, and I had a few friends, get through some hectic stuff, and I lost a lot of friends basically. So I wanted to communicate with people again and build friendships. So I thought Twitch would be a cool place where I can kind of just talk to people. Like, that's literally how it started. So I totally get that, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I got started because, well, one, I have a very big ego, and two, I actually started watching some chess streams, and there were some chess streamers that I really liked, like the Botez sisters, Hikaru, Ben Feingold, people like that. And then there were some other chess streamers that I'm like, man, this person has 1,000 viewers. They're so boring. Like, how are they getting that many viewers? So I'm like, I could do much better. Of course, I've streamed chess a few times, and nobody watches my stream when I'm streaming chess. The only streams I've ever had anybody watch were Gods Unchained streams. So I kind of ended up accidentally finding a niche, because around the time that I took up streaming was when I discovered Gods Unchained. Because I came from a Hearthstone background and then heard about GU being like, well, it's like Hearthstone except you can sell your cards. I'm like, whoa, that's a revolutionary idea. I knew nothing about crypto before Gods Unchained. But just the idea of being able to sell cards, you're earning stuff that you can sell, and the gameplay felt very similar to Hearthstone. And I've played Hearthstone for years before coming to GU. So it was just a natural, transition for me.
Yeah, nice. And no, your streams are, when you're on, you do really, really well. Like, you're always at the top, and it's always good content. So, I mean, you said a lot of us came from Hearthstone. Like, did you ever get into any physical TCGs? Did you ever mess around with Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that?
Yeah, I played Magic the Gathering when I was a kid, and I played MTGO online as well for a bit in college. I spent a lot of time in college playing the online and built an empire, and then I ended up having a kind of a breakup. I kind of went infinite online because I was a profitable player. I would win around 70% of my limited matches while rare drafting. So that meant that I could basically play any format at a profitable rate. Then I put all of my earnings into Vintage Masters, and that did not work out. Basically, they printed a lot more than they promised they would. And kind of the broken promises by Wizards of the Coast were what frustrated me from that game. And I haven't logged in years to Magic. But when I was a kid, I did win 2 college scholarships by playing Magic the Gathering, which I think is pretty cool. 2 junior Super Series events.
What?
Yeah, they had scholarships.
How does that work?
If you were 15 or under, you could play in these, what were called Junior Super Series events back in the day. I don't know if they still have this or not. But yeah, if you won the tournament, then you got a $1,000 college scholarship. So the only college scholarships I received were from playing Magic the Gathering. And you got tons of other prizes and product as well. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. But as soon as I got into college, I didn't play any more physical live anymore. Actually, I sold all my cards and just went solely to Magic the Gathering online. But I did play a lot online too.
Yeah, nice. Well, what type of decks did you play? Like, were you a meta player, or did you find that you were drawn to, like, I mean, for example, when I played, I primarily like to play mono black, but I was delving into duos and tries and stuff. Like, were there certain builds or colors that you preferred to play, and does that translate to Gods Unchained at all?
I played everything, and I would say that kind of translates to Gods Unchained. I consider myself a very versatile Gods Unchained player, and I was a pretty versatile Magic player. My least favorite color was blue. However,
True.
I did win one of my scholarships playing a control opposition type of deck with blue-green. You played opposition, and you had all the Squirrel Nest tokens, and it was the slowest control deck ever. But it worked, so I can't complain.
Oh, that's huge. No, blue was always interesting. I didn't really like Jace that much. I I was much more into black. I just thought black was really good. But in contrast, I haven't played too much death in GU, for example. Like, I'm not really drawn to it. And in saying that, I played a lot of nature in GU, but I never really played a whole lot of green in Magic. You know, it's weird.
I don't think they necessarily are super alike. I think there's some pretty big differences. I know black and Magic is definitely, I think, overall stronger than Death is currently in Gods Unchained. Because in Death, in GU, there's never been a large quantity of top tier Death decks. I mean, for a while, you either play board wipe Death or you didn't play Death. And now it's you either play Anubians or you don't play Death. So if you don't like those two decks, then, I mean, there's really not much for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been dabbling a bit in the Rock Drake build for about a week, but honestly, I haven't seen a lot of success with it. Like, when it works, it's amazing. But when it doesn't, which is more often than not, it's a bummer. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I categorize that kind of more as a niche deck than a top tier meta deck, because you just need so many things to go right. I put it in the similar tier as zombies, where there's times where if it works, it looks really good, but you're just not getting everything to just fall into place enough times to have great, consistent weekend ranked results.
Yeah, exactly. Consistency's not there. So I got to ask. I mean, we chatted about Pokemon briefly just then, but your name's also Fakemews, and I also recall seeing a Mew somewhere near your name in the past. Like, is Fakemews based off of Pokemon?
So it's actually the name of my Pokemon Go account. So I created my Pokemon Go account, and I wanted a creative name for Pokemon Go. And when I created it, that was around the time where fake news was a kind of a big thing with ex-President Trump talking about that. And I liked the phrase, and I thought that I could kind of put that into Pokemon with just fake news by changing one letter. So it's a play on the term, the fake news term, as well as the Pokemon as well.
No, I dig it. No, I like it a lot.
Then when I was creating a Gods Unchained account, I'm like, why should I call it? I'm like, I'll copy my Pokemon name. Lazy. And then it ends up being my name everywhere. So it's just weird how those things work out.
No, it makes sense, and I love it's from Pokemon. If you could wake up tomorrow and just have a Pokemon, any Pokemon, it's just there naturally, no questions asked, it's there for the rest of your life, which Pokemon would it be? I think that question's a bit better than what's your favorite Pokemon. Like, if you just woke up with a companion Pokemon there tomorrow, no questions, what would it be?
This is tricky because, I mean, my gut instinct is I would want a flying type and then just hitch a ride on it and just fly everywhere. So what would be a good flying type that I would like to hang out with? I think I would like a Dragonite. I feel like that's a pretty cool Pokemon. Could just fly around with it, and it's a dragon, so yeah. I'll go with Dragonite. That would be fun to be around. Because like a
Dragonite's awesome.
Small Pokemon like Mew, you can't like get on the back and have it ride it anywhere. You know, Dragonite can at least take me places, save me money on flights. You know, it's too expensive to fly places right now.
No more flights, no more Ubers, no more COVID tests before flights. Just on the Dragonite.
I'll just use the Dragonite as a form of transportation for sure.
Oh, that's huge. I got to say though, I was a bit disappointed with the shiny Dragonite. Like, I love the pink Dratini and the pink Dragonair, and then the Dragonite was this kind of off green. I feel like they could have done better. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm colorblind, so for me, the shinies in Pokemon Go have never been a big draw. I mean, you catch some, but yeah, it's never been a huge thing for me.
Whoa, so you're colorblind? Okay, well, oh wow, okay. I never even thought about how that would affect shiny Pokemon. Does that affect much in life? Like things that people would just assume would be normal. Like, does that affect you in different ways that people haven't thought of?
I mean, not really. The most common question you get asked is stuff about traffic lights, but you just memorize the position of the lights, and it's pretty natural. You pick it up pretty quickly. And generally, I look for ways around colors. I just don't look at, look for this color. And like, nah, I remember positions and stuff instead.
Well, fair enough. So back to GU. So how have you found, because one thing I've noticed is that some people got a little bit borderline disappointed. They built up Mortal Judgment in their head so much, and then when it came out, you know, they I think that's a key thing, not to build things up like this too much. But like, how are you finding the game at the moment? How are you finding the meta? Because like you said, you've been playing for a while. Like, how is it since when you started, and like, how do you think the health of the game? Because I also watched a video that you put up on YouTube, I think yesterday or the day before, about the tournaments, and you were talking about, you know, you may not think that the tournament, like throwing $103,000 at these tournaments is a great idea, and I tend to agree. Like, what do you think about GU right now?
Well, Mortal Judgment, I don't want to be too harsh. The one thing I will say is I think the game constantly is evolving, and I think that in and of itself is healthy. So you might not like the meta this week, or, you know, last week, or the week prior, but it's generally different. And I think that's good overall, because when I first started, you would have months of, I just trot out board wipe death. And the thing is I think a lot of the negative sentiment for Mortal Judgment from a lot of the older players is not simple anymore. Before, they could play weekend ranked for months to just trot out the same deck and get really good results. They could win 75% long term and have great opportunities for some packs. Now, if you are just going to blindly trot out the same deck week in and week out, I mean, you might have some weeks where you'll do well, but you'll have other weeks where you're just in the wrong position and kind of get exposed because of that. So I actually like the way it's kind of rolled out. I was pretty negative early on, but it's grown on me. And as far as the tournament series, I'm not against necessarily the idea of sponsoring tournaments. I love tournaments. I want the tournament scene to grow. I just think when you're throwing out $103,000, you need to have more of a strategic rollout. Instead, they're just throwing money at random places with no plan. And I think that the first weekend, the first tournament, we kind of saw what the lack of planning leads to in kind of a chaotic manner. And hopefully this is something the community kind of learns from. But however, they hired a head of esports. So what I don't understand is, why isn't the head of esports running these tournaments? If you've got a professional, why don't they run the tournament? You have the prize fund. Maybe they could bring certain people throughout the community on to join them, you know, to help cast it. But I think that they should have probably just run it themselves. If they've got a person specifically for that job, I think that from an organization standpoint, it could have been a lot more cleaner.
No, I think you're spot on. And when I watched your video, again, guys, check out the link in the description for Fakemews' YouTube. I really appreciate the way you went through it, because you were coming from an angle of, hey, I'm really good at the game, and I'm probably going to take out a bunch of these tournaments. So I actually have nothing to gain from saying this, but more so I want the longevity of Gods Unchained. And I thought that was quite a selfless way to put it, actually. Like, you may be surprised, I do watch your videos, properly.
Well, what I'm worried about is, so we have this obviously initial funding push. They had some money basically fall out of the sky, and they're throwing it at these tournaments. So they obviously have a certain budget that they're willing to throw at them. However, when we run out of money, what's the tournament scene going to be like after that? People are going to be conditioned to expecting $6,000 prize pools in every single tournament, of course, that's not very realistic when this is all done and we don't have that type of funding. So that's what I'm curious. I think it would be really bad for the game if we have like 2 to 3 months of these really, really awesome tournaments that I am going to try to participate in as many as possible. And then after that, nothing. Because really right now, we don't have the core. In my opinion, if the game's going to be successful, we're all early. Everyone who's in this game right now is early if we're going to make it. And I think that we should be having these really large promotional ideas when we are doing more of a player adding initiative, when we're adding new players to the game. Because really, when you look at the numbers, we've been kind of on a downward trajectory. Part of it is the crypto bear market. But I think that maybe when we launch on mobile or something like that, the next big push for additional people, that would have been a great time to roll out a big tournament series like we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. I mean, there's two thoughts that I have, and that's that if I were if I had this guy's job of promoting stuff, esports stuff, I would have probably cut the budget of the prize pool by probably 60%. I would have cut that out because we're not going to complain. I mean, we basically went from 0 to 100 with this thing. There's no bar. Like, we would have been happy with anything, to be honest, and put that 60% into promoting the game on social media and on other platforms. I think that could have been potentially productive.
I mean, you talk about potentially reduce the prizes by 2/3. Instead of having $6,000 a tournament, you have $2,000 a tournament. The community would have been at pretty much the same level of excitement with $2,000 per tournament, because that is much bigger than what we've been having throughout the community.
Exactly.
So I don't think that having 6K per tournament generates that much more excitement, but it's 3 times the cost. So I think the one way that Gods Unchained looks at it is they're only out $500 per tournament they're sponsoring. They have an allocation of Gods tokens they have to give out to the community. And they have packs, which technically don't take money out of their pocket directly. But who's going to be buying packs when they're giving away this many for free? So I think that might be a short-sighted analysis on their part, because obviously people who are buying packs from the store, when they're giving away this many packs in the tournament series, and it's going to dilute some of the value of the packs. So that's the way I look at it. But I guess from Gods Unchained standpoint, they're like, we're only out $500 a tournament, and they think we're giving them $6,000 a tournament. So that's probably the way they're looking at it. But I think it's also kind of short-sighted too.
No, I agree. The knock-on effect is massive. Like, shiny packs are essentially, shiny legendary packs are the holy grail, and if I'm not wrong, I think they're giving away between like 6 or 10 per tournament. Those things like $150 a pop. Like, that's no joke.
Yeah,
they're no joke. And kind of, bringing them into the mainstream is kind of cool, because on one hand, if people open those packs on stream and we get some good value, they may sell more packs. But on the other hand, like you're saying, it could have the opposite effect pretty easily as well, like especially with the lower tier packs.
Well, the thing with shiny legendary packs is they retail for $150, and if you just look at the prices of shiny legendaries right now, the probability of getting a $150 card in one of those packs is very small. So usually it's not going to look that great. Now, it will be very exciting if I win, shiny legendary packs. I, of course, am going to try to put that on stream and promote it. Because hypothetically, if I were to win first in an event, you would get 3 shiny legendary packs, tons of other packs, about basically $1,200 worth of packs, and the gods and the ETH and all that other stuff. So that would be a great pack opening stream, because you have lots of legendary, epic, and rare packs alongside it as well. And I don't think that many people in the community have ever opened a shiny legendary pack. So from that angle, it is a little bit exciting. The top 3 get at least 1 shiny legendary pack, 3 for first, 2 for second, and 1 for third. So 6 an event. But that will have a lot more shiny legendary packs being opened throughout the community. And that will be exciting, because I think that as of right now, there just really isn't an incentive to purchase them at $150 each.
I agree. I totally agree. Like I feel like I'd rather buy, 7 or 8 legendary packs, or because if that legendary slot is shiny, it could be shadow,
Yeah.
And there's no saying that slot will be shiny. Or I'd prefer to buy hundreds of rare packs myself, because it's just longer content. It's more fun. I get hours of enjoyment out of that if I were to chuck hundreds of dollars into it,
In previous sets, I've done the math,
cool.
And rare packs are generally the best value. However, moving all the cards you get is a little bit of a chore. But I think that rare packs are generally the best value. For shiny legendary packs, 3 out of the 4 times you open the pack, you're going to get a shadow. And then 1 out of 4, you get a gold. And you actually have basically the same chance to get a diamond as you do in a normal legendary pack. It's just the strangest thing. I've run the numbers behind it. You don't get diamond equity like you would think.
Well, you hear shiny, you think diamond. That's how our brain works. We think diamond.
I would think...
That's a bit sneaky.
Yeah, I would think that you would have a significantly better chance at a diamond legendary. But if you actually break it down by dollars spent, and I've done mathematics behind this, you're actually better off buying 6 legendary packs than you are 1 shiny legendary if all you care about is diamonds. Of course, you're going to get a lot more shadow and gold legendaries by buying the shiny packs, but in terms of diamonds, you're actually better off buying the normal legendaries.
Yeah, no, for real. And $150 is no joke. Another question I wanted to ask you, my dude. I see, and again, I'm going to be having a chat with one of the GU team later on, and I kind of want to get some other opinions on this, because I'm seeing a lot of this money go into these tournaments, right? $100,000 is no joke. But I also saw a lot of spending happen with big, so-called big streamers a couple months back. GU put, a fair chunk of what I imagine. I don't know what their advertisement budget is, but they decided it would be a good idea to put money into these streamers. Now, I saw these streamers start, and I didn't see them come back. So my first question is, do you think that was a good idea? And my second question is, regardless, is there anything they could have done to make those streamers stick? Because, if you're going to do it, you may as well maximize your chance of it working. Hey,
Yeah, for sponsored streams, you're very unlikely to get the streamer to stick. So they're intentionally basically buying a couple of hours or however much time for this bigger streamer who is going to have a large audience to play to expose people to the game. In my opinion, this was horribly timed, because they did this at a time where the game was extremely buggy. All the people, I went to a lot of these different streams and watched their stream to see how they were experiencing it. And a lot of these bigger streamers were just frustrated by all the bugs they were seeing. So I think the timing was horrendous. Also, I think that it should have been done at a big kind of a hype moment when you're making your big push to get more people into the game. And really, that wasn't it. It was just kind of randomly done. It was like, hey, we have money to advertise. What are we going to do? And they're like, we'll throw it at this. And I think that's really just poor planning on their part.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. You're right. There's these lulls and there's these waves, and you want to. And again, I haven't started marketing, but my wife has. And one thing that she's always said is you want to put your funding into these campaigns literally just before or during the hype, just to boost it, maximize the highs. And during the lows, you want to minimize them. So you don't want to put these campaigns down when it's low, because the effect, you're not going to get as much value for your money. So no, I totally agree with you. That's 100% what I was thinking. But the other thing I was thinking was, which is a part of what my Discord community said, was if they would have just maybe made some burner accounts that maybe had access to all the cards potentially, or something like that, and started at a higher level, these people could have had a better experience, therefore increasing the chance they may have come back. I'm not saying give them free cards forever. I'm saying increase their access to some cards or something like that. Make their account a little juicier than saying, hey, here's a couple of grand, start a new account and go from scratch. Because that experience, you're either going to love it or you're going to fucking hate it, And I think that could have been done differently.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. I think there's a mentality for these people who are on these sponsored streams that they're like, I'm going to get my money, and they're not really looking to play the game long term. They're not looking to adopt the game. They got Twitch famous for doing another thing, and they're going to continue doing that other thing because that's how they make money. And they'll do cash grab sponsor streams for stuff like GU when they want to throw money at them. But yeah, I think it could have made for maybe a better experience for some of the viewers, because what we saw early on was that people were just basically playing the starter decks, and of course the starter decks are quite atrocious in GU. The one thing I will say is, if they're looking to acquire new players, maybe it's best to have them start from zero like they did. So I don't necessarily agree with give them a God account, because there's a lot of mechanics you have to learn in Gods Unchained. So do you really want to, in a 2-hour stream, explain the concept of armor to everybody? Explain all the empower stuff, explain order, because the game gets very complex for a 2-hour stream if you give them access to everything. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of okay with what they did, being like, hey, new account. And the thing is any of their viewers who you're trying to draw in, because you're trying to take people from their community to try your game, they're going to start off day one basically in the exact same spot that the streamer they're watching is, with nothing. So they can kind of relate to that experience and then build upon it. And if they like what they see, then they can create an account, and they've got the starter decks just like anyone else, and can start earning core cards and start from there. So I don't think it's... I just don't like the timing of it. I'm okay with the general thought behind getting Twitch streamers from like-minded games like Hearthstone and trying to bring them in. I just think it needed to be at a time where GU was ready to explode. As of now, I think that the marketing dollars spent on that was basically wasted.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think, and this is completely hypothetical, but do you think that if GU potentially, instead of, in hindsight, they looked at this and they went, okay, well, that didn't work. If they had a similar budget in the future, do you think that if they were to put that money into current GU streamers, for example, like yourself, like Copper Pitch, like, I don't know, people at TST, all these different streamers, do you think that we could potentially find new ways of bringing other people in that way? Or is that just another moot kind of thought?
We're working for free already for them, so why would they throw money at us? And they kind of are providing some support with these tournaments. That's kind of the idea that they have. They're throwing a lot of money at a lot of different people, though myself and Copper Pitch did not get included in this or ever was asked. So that's one interesting tidbit. But we're kind of grouped in with the Infinite Mana people, even though we were very independent before joining Infinite Mana, running our own tournaments back in the day. So it is interesting the way they rolled out this tournament. It's interesting who they asked to do things and who they kind of ignored.
That I haven't even thought about that. That's super interesting, actually. I'd love to go into that more if that's okay, because I have no idea. Like, I haven't actually thought about that. So wait, yourself and Copper, who are, well, Copper and yourself are easily, I mean, except for maybe Sambam, potentially the biggest streamers in GU.
So you can throw Sam
have you got any
in that list as well? they weren't.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They weren't involved. Yeah, same with Aldos. We did have the Infinite Mana League, which Saints did get going. But that happens after the community tour. It's like a month-long Swiss event. So that's going to be, or community clash, that's going to be happening. I think that we're just kind of grouped in on the same team, and they don't view us as kind of individual creators. However, if you look from a metric standpoint, Copper Pitch has the number one biggest stream, number one biggest presence on YouTube. So, and as purely an independent entity, that seems like a big place to go. I'm in the top 5 of Twitch streamers in terms of average viewership, have run tournaments in the past, and Sambam hasn't run a tournament, but like that guy grinds like no other. I mean, he's on constantly, and with large viewers as well. So it'd have been interesting. So yeah, it's just interesting to see, you know, who's included and who's not, and but again, this is my ego. It's like, hey, why wasn't I asked? You know, do you not want the Hot Tub Tournament 2.0? Some of these people weren't around for the first Hot Tub Tournament. So that did happen. That happened last year in August, and people asked if that really happened. We really had that. There's clips on my old Twitch channel of my hot tub shorts and stuff. So it was a thing. But they didn't want the Hot Tub 2.0. You know, of course, if they want to throw $6K at me to host a Hot Tub tournament, I'm up for it. We can have it July 4th. Make it like a U.S. Independence Day theme. We can make it great.
Mm-hmm. That's huge, dude. So, no, that's the first time that I thought of that. That's the first time that I've actually had that thought process. I just thought that it was what it was, but now that I'm thinking of it, they have targeted either bigger, you know, either big, hyped up smaller communities or smaller streamers that are different. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you look at the list of people that have been selected, we're all very different. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I got approached by Sully, and I didn't know. Sully hit me up months ago. And I started seeing all these other people talking about these tournaments, and I said to Sully, like, he said, I'm not going to make you sign an NDA, but I don't want you to say anything to anyone. So I was like, sweet. So I haven't said anything to anyone. But now that I really think about it, after watching your YouTube video yesterday, and you actually went through the list of the people that are hosting it, we're all very, very different. So I think there might be, I mean, I know even Unistix is holding one. Do you know what I mean? So we're, and good on her. She's amazing. But what I'm saying is we're all very different demographics, and maybe this is another kind of approach. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. What do you think on that?
I just think they kind of typecast everyone who's on a team to be on the same team. So you see that Monkey Syndicate, all of them, and they've got multiple big streamers on that, you know, team. You know, Sprink and Grandmaster have about as big numbers as anyone in the community, both on the same team. You know, we do have a Infinite Mana tournament, but we kind of just got kind of all grouped into that. You have TST, which is coming up. They're announcing their tournament tomorrow, and registration will open tomorrow. So, or actually, maybe today by the time this is posted on the internet. But they have their tournament. Of course, they have a large group of different streamers and different content creators on their team as well. So I think just anybody who's associated with the team just kind of got grouped together. Even though a lot of us work independently, especially in Infinite Mana, we talk together about strategy, but in terms of content creation, we are pretty much independent of each other.
Well, who is in Infinite Mana? Just for everyone out there.
Yeah.
So, who's Infinite Mana? How'd they start? Who's in it? And what kind of where do you see you guys going?
So, Infinite Mana started as Team Mythic way, 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 way before I started playing Gods Unchained. And they were the first professional team. The core that is still on the team that was on, I believe, originally, and I'm not sure all of these people were on originally. They've just been on ever since I started playing in October of 2020. You have Dragonstorm, Revan, and Saints, who is the coach. And FastDXE wasn't playing... Well, wasn't an active player when I started playing, but has since come back and has been very active recently. So those are kind of a part of the core, and then you kind of have the new wave, and the new wave has I should throw Aldos in there as well. He's been on Mythic for as long as I can. I don't think he was one of the original. I could be wrong, but he's been on the team for as long as I could remember, and he's also one of the content creators as well. So he's kind of the original one that was also a content creator. And the new wave has a lot of content creators, and that would include Copperpitch, who came on first, then Sambam was added, then myself was added, and most recently H-Pain was added. So that all four of us have been pretty big content creators very recently, as well as Aldos, who was on the team originally. And Saints and FastX are kind of the organizers for most of the official Infinite Mana events. However, you have people like me and Copperpitch who, before joining Infinite Mana, held community events regularly and are kind of being boxed out and forgotten right now. So that's just my viewpoint of that situation.
That's interesting. So, okay. I don't really know what to say about that. Like, because I've chatted to H-Pain a couple of times. He entered my streamers exhibition that I ran the other week, which was pretty cool. Like, I asked you to do it, but you were away on your vacation. And I hope you can be a part of the next one. But H-Pain came into that exhibition, and we didn't have a prize pool. Like, I messaged Gods Unchained. I said, hey, and they were messaging me on Twitter, and they were, giving me Divine Order packs and all these other things and complimenting me on bits and pieces. And then I messaged them and I was like, hey, I'm going to hold this streamer exhibition. I'd love some support. I didn't hear anything back. So I just said, hey, we're going to make this a proper exhibition. We're just going to do it to literally just show people, what these streamers are like. Clutch ended up winning it. Clutch is really good. I think he's a great part of the community. But H-Pain was really interesting. H-Pain decided to play a Gods Unchained war build. And I got him on the microphone at the end, and I was like, bro, like, why do you want to rock this? And he's like, well, I thought this was an exhibition. Like, I mean, we're just going to play some shit. I was like, I really like him, man. I think he's really cool.
Yeah, there's different ways to view the term exhibition. He was viewing it more as I think, let's try to have fun type of thing. So he was playing. Yeah. I didn't watch the event, so I don't know exactly what it is. But the way he described it is he's playing the Gods Unchained. So obviously he was trying to make some meme dreams work out. And sometimes when you attempt that, it fails.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just thought it was funny. I thought it was great. So back to Infinite Mana, you guys have this honestly massive team. Like, it's by the sounds of everyone you just said, you've got eight people that I would either say is either a big community figure or an insanely knowledgeable and experienced player. Like Dragonstorm, I've met a couple of times, and I think that he's really nice. He's really knowledgeable. I didn't even know he was an Infinite Mana because he doesn't really advertise that. But like, do you guys like where do you see that team going? Like, let's say a year from now, where do you see your team going? You've got some really high-end players like yourself, like Copperpitch, Dragonstorm. You got H-Pain, who I think is hilarious, and I think he's great for culture. And you've got Sambam, who is more so like yourself and Copper. He's more so about high-end plays and being highly intelligent and kind of witty. Like, where do you see you guys going?
Well, I think it greatly depends on what Gods Unchained ends up becoming a year or two from now. We want to be, when GU booms, when that happens, we want to be right there, ready to go, day one, competing with the best. We want to be the premier GU competitive team on the competitive scene. That's what we want to be, and how big that is greatly depends on how big GU is. Obviously, at the current player level and the current community level, I mean, you could only be so big. But I mean, we would love to be like an official brand and this kind of brand name that you would recognize, all throughout the world. People be like, "Oh, you're on Infinite Mana. That's cool," or something like that. I don't know. I have it in my Tinder profile, but it doesn't get me any matches. So I'm on an esports team. Isn't the best line of all time apparently.
You have it in your Tinder profile. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Have you had anyone ever ask you about that on Tinder?
No. It's not great for conversation at all. That never comes up.
Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, you said that Aldous was in there too, which is really cool. Aldous is someone that I see on quite frequently, and I think he's great. You guys are all amazing players. So is there anything that you'd improve about Infinite Mana? Are you guys looking at getting other people down the line? Are you guys happy with what you've got? What's the plan there?
I think we're happy with our core right now. I mean, obviously, situations can change. Like, if we got more funding, then there could be a potential expansion sometime. But that's dependent on a lot of other factors. So everything is kind of we'll wait and see. But yeah, I feel like I have a good relationship with everyone on our team. I think we've got a good base and a lot of similar-minded individuals. I might be a little bit more edgy than most of the team, but I think most of us are pretty analytical, and that's how I would describe my play as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, are there any other teams out there that you have noticed? So not maybe like obviously you know that and you 100% believe that the Infinite Mana is the best team, and I totally am on board with your thoughts on that, because your resume of players is your portfolio of players is massive, and you guys have a great history. But are there other teams out there that you're noticing? Are there other teams that you think are either formidable or you guys want to go up against? Because there are a couple of community events coming up, team v team things coming. Like, is there anyone that you want to verse or anyone you don't?
There's very good individual players on a lot of other teams. I just don't think that what the other teams have, what they lack is kind of the depth we have. But for instance, Team Nevos, which is run by Vloskill, you've got Devoted, Vampus, Fate on that team. They're a small bunch that is very, very active on the tournament scene and always give you some good battles. I've personally struggled a lot against Team Octopus. Again, a much smaller team. But you've got Aldok, V2, and Gino, other players as well. Just to name a few off the top of my head, those two, I think, from a pure tournament competitive scene, those are the two scariest teams for me to go up against, aside from Infinite Mana. And from a brand perspective, I think Kujo is doing a great job as well. Though I think that a lot of their success is outside of GU, so they're more of a crypto community than just a GU community. While Infinite Mana is pretty much solely just GU. Now, granted, we have players on our team who have stakes in other crypto games and stuff like that for sure, but I feel like that Kujo is more, I guess, diversified would be the word. But I think one cool thing is you have a lot of just these general communities of people that are getting together, and that helps us a lot as well. So I had a little bit of that with Team Toxic before I left them, and then they kind of stopped existing. But a lot of the people from Team Toxic, about like half of them went to a Monkey Syndicate. About the other half went to Team Fëanor. And I've seen those communities kind of really grow. And I think that there's a lot of energy in those communities, and that's great for both of those teams. And I know you started your team, the GG's team as well, and that community is also growing. And just being involved in a community adds a lot to the experience, in my opinion, and is more likely to keep players in the game and actively involved. So I think that pretty much all of these teams add a net benefit to the game. And there's some other teams that I don't really know too well. Like there's the PHVN, which are more of just country teams. But I think within the GU Discord, a lot of those communities have a lot of pride, and particularly for the Philippines and the Vietnam communities, there's a lot of brotherhood with that for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. These it's getting a bit like that when I'm playing games. Like I think I was versing, I think it was UFO the other day. I'm seeing all these teams come through, and a lot of them are geographically based teams, like you just said. Like we're seeing Philippines, we're seeing Vietnam, we're seeing these places. There's a French team, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of these different teams, and like you said as well, they all have incredible players in them. But whether or not they have, I don't think, and I'm quite close with the Monkey Syndicate guys myself. I think that if I wasn't going to create my own team, I probably would have joined theirs, just because on a social level, I think that's pretty effortless. And you said Fëanor as well. I really dig Fëanor. I think he's added a lot to the community over the years, because you've got teams for different reasons. You've got like your teams that just pride themselves on their gameplay, and then you've got teams that pride themselves on their social aspect, and then you've got teams that pride themselves on becoming the biggest team and inducting new players, So I think there's different tiers throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I think you should be super proud of Infinite Mana. Like, it's really cool, man. It's it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think that some of these you may or may not classify as clans, because that's what Saints called toxic before when he was recruiting me. He's like, is toxic really a thing, or is it just kind of like a clan? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a clan. And then they throw money at you, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll leave that. that's how I left Team Toxic.
Well, what's the toxic story? What happened there? Like, you said you were in there first, and you went to Infinite Mana. Like, what value did you get from Toxic, and why did you decide to leave to go to, Infinite?
So I created Team Toxic to make fun of other teams in the community, and it was the meme team. We didn't have any restrictions to join. All you had to do was DM me, and you automatically got in. So that was the team, and we were the largest team in Gods Unchained until I left. And then they weren't, because everyone left after I left. So it was created as a joke and a meme, but it grew like wildfire. Because as soon as I announced it on stream, I had my PowerPoint presentations in my recruitment seminars, and we got people joining fast. And there were also happened to be, at that time, rumors of team tournaments that were apparently about to start. So people just wanted to get on the same team that I was on. So that helped recruit people as well.
So Toxic. So, wait, you founded Toxic?
Yeah.
True. And then you left Toxic.
Yeah. Well, the thing is...
You got a feel for those guys.
Well, the thing is on my PowerPoint series, I had, for why to join Team Toxic, I mentioned, of course, putting it in your Tinder profile to get all the ladies. That was part of the reason I had for that. But another reason was to leave Toxic to join another team. I actually had that in my recruiting. So I'm like, join my team so you can look very good and professional, and then leave it for another. And then that's exactly what I ended up doing. And we had some other people do that as well. So yeah, it was all in the plan. I was about as honest about that situation as I possibly could have been. So
That's amazing. That's actually amazing. You came in and you started it, and you displayed your own core values.
Yeah.
And you bounced for a better deal.
Well, I mean, you create a team called Toxic and are just like, hey, I'm going to betray you. And really, as a leader of a team called Toxic, you have to display that type of behavior, that type of leadership. And I felt like I had the great leadership to show everyone on the team how it's done, how to betray everybody. And yeah, it was a good meme for about a couple of months. We had the Team Toxic tournament in December, which I ran that whole tournament for a month and had broadcasting and tons of stuff like that. So that was a long time ago, before any of you all remember. So
yeah, no, I'm still quite new. I'm a 2022 GU baby, but I do love the this is one thing I love, man. Like, this is when I played RuneScape. One thing I loved about RuneScape and what kept me in it was the clans. That's something. And when I played WoW, the guilds, it's the same thing. And I think these things are super important to keep people interested, because if you do, if one day you wake up and you go, oh man, I don't really feel like playing GU today, but fuck, what's going on in the Discord? Oh, there's this going on here. Like, it's another level, you know what I mean? And it keeps you locked in. Like, you think that's an important part of this team mentality?
Well, yeah, I think that it keeps you in the loop of the game. So even if you're frustrated and need to take a break, if you're just reading about it, then you're much more likely to come back to the game, as opposed to you're taking a break from a game, you're frustrated, and then you just kind of forget about it. That's happened with me with a lot of different games in the past. But as long as you're still talking with people in the community, even if you're frustrated and want to take a couple of weeks off, then when you come back, you feel like it's just a seamless transition, because you've been reading about everything that's been happening, and it's natural to come back.
Well, have you got any? So, two questions. Have you got any advice for people starting the game? And one that I really want to ask you about is someone that's been playing for a while, and you're quite good, and you've got a great mind about this stuff. So, first question was mindset and tips for people starting the game, and second question is people that are feeling like they're grinding and getting bored. One thing I've seen is that people, they're playing this, in my opinion, too much. They're playing 5+ hours a day. They're getting bored, Like, have you got any advice for those people?
So, for people who are new and starting out, I think that if you enjoy the game, you're probably going to be naturally passionate. One thing that I get a lot of from newer players in my Twitch chat is, which deck should I play? Which deck should I play? And the answer is, you should basically play everything. You should try to get a feel for every domain, get a sense of the strengths and weaknesses. It might not help your short-term win rate, but long-term, I think it helps your greater understanding of the game. So I'd recommend trying out as much as you can and experimenting as much as you can early on, because you're still in the learning phase, and just trying to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one domain, I think, is bad for you, for your health long-term. And as far as the burnout issue, yeah, I mean, if you feel the game is a grind and a job, then you need to be playing less. It's that simple. If you're not enjoying the game, and this is kind of coming from personal experience, because I used to have a set stream schedule where I would play until I won 10 games every single day, and I got to the point where I got burnt out. So I have greatly reduced the amount I'm playing, and I've been happier with the game ever since I've cut back. And I've also cut back heavily on streaming as well. But I think that when I stream, it's going to be a higher quality than when I'm bored and I'm streaming. So it's...
Well, I love that. So how much do you stream at the moment? And have you seen any... Well, you would have. Streaming less. Some people streamers think, and I got caught in this trap as well, you think you have to be live. You have to be live, or your life is just not worth living. Like, how did you make that transition to streaming less, and have you seen your average viewers go up since doing that?
Well, no, my average viewers have gone down. but my overall happiness has gone up. So basically, as soon as I hit Twitch partner, I'm like, why am I grinding? So I cut back a lot after that, and I only stream regularly weekend ranked right now. And I wanted to have kind of a Flux Wheel Sunday stream as well that's more casual and just clearing the Flux Wheel. However, I haven't done that since I got back from vacation, and I don't know when I'm going to get back to my normal streaming schedule. Ideally, I'm going to have one kind of weekday, and then I'll have weekend ranked, and then I'll have Flux Wheel Sunday. That's what I want to get back to long term. Short term, I'm streaming my weekend ranked. When I play weekend ranked, not even a set schedule, and not even necessarily all 25 games at once. And yeah, my numbers have gone down, but I've accepted that. But yeah, from a growing your Twitch channel perspective, being live as much as possible is the best strategy. Because people get in the habit of viewing your channel. Consistency and times of streaming is important too. So if you stream at the same time every day, people are going to get used to tuning into your channel. That's how you grow at the fastest rate. And I used to have kind of a set schedule like that, and I have since gone away from that because personally, from a personal satisfaction standpoint, that wasn't the best. But having a schedule is good, and that's what I would recommend for people who want to grow their channel. But if you just want to enjoy it, stream when you want, don't worry about the metrics. That's my advice for that. But most people,
that's huge advice. Most
people want to grow as fast as possible, and basically after I hit partner, I'm like, why am I growing? Like I'm not a size that's meaningful in terms of donations. In fact, I've lost money as a Twitch streamer. I've given away more in giveaways than I've gotten from donations. So it's not like it's a profitable thing. I just need to do it when it sounds good to me, when it's fun for me, because ultimately that's what's important. And I think if I'm enjoying the experience more, then I think it's more likely that my viewers are going to enjoy the experience as well.
That's super interesting. So, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, that when you're doing giveaways and you're doing all these things that you definitely lose money. I'm on board with that. Like, I do a tournament every 2 weeks and give away 100 USD in ETH every time, and on top of the other giveaways. And it people just don't realize that you don't make money if you do something like that. What happened? Like, you became a Twitch streamer. You became a Twitch partner, which is what a lot of people aim for. That's like the goal. That's like the omega goal. And then they think that when you get there, that life is just going to be breezy. I mean, it sounds like that you kind of put your heart and soul into what you're doing, your art, and then when you got there, you kind of realized it wasn't what you thought it would be. Is that right? Or if you got anything to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of a goal-oriented person. So when I got to a point on my channel where I'm like, this is an achievable goal, I made it a goal. I'm like, I want to get there. I want to do this. And then after I did that, it's kind of like, all right, so why am I still doing all this stuff? And I didn't really have a great answer for that. I mean, there's not really much money in it. I mean, there's a lot of money that can be made as a Twitch streamer if you make it really big. But we're talking you need 1,000 viewers typically before you get any sort of what I would call meaningful life income, where you're drastically profitable.
Agreed.
Anybody in the GU stream right now, even the biggest streamers like Copper Pitch, they're not making that much money. I mean, if they're profitable at all, because they do a lot of giveaways as well. So I don't know. I don't even know if he's profitable, to be honest. So yeah, if my advice to Twitch streamers also is don't do this for the money, because this isn't a get rich quick scheme. Do it because you enjoy doing it. If you enjoy streaming to people, chatting with chat, if that's something you like doing, then do it. Don't worry about your metrics. I mean, if you've got a nice small community, if you've got 5 viewers, but those 5 viewers are active, to me, that's a much more fun stream than 200 viewers with like no meaningful conversation. You know, so it just all depends.
No, that's super. It's not going to be what everyone wants to hear, but it's the truth, and I think it's important that you said that, because some people just think that you can just start streaming and become XQC, but the truth is,
nah, you're not.
You know, unless you're doing, and unless you're doing variety streaming content, and you're extremely lucky. That's the biggest thing, I think. I think any streamer could get there. I don't think anything about XQC is special. I'm just going to say it. I just think he got extremely lucky, and he grinded, and he probably, and I don't mean to sound like a dick, but he probably had nothing else in his life to do. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, if there's no competition between your online time and your life, yeah, you can chuck all your waking hours into it. But if you can't, then you can't. And even if you can, you 99% probably won't make it. And that's not me trying to be an asshole. It's just the way it is, and people need to come to terms with that.
Well,
so would you?
Well, more than 99% don't make it, because I am a part of the 1%. Only about 1% of people make it to Twitch Partner. So I am the 1%. And still not even profitable. So it's like 0.000 like 1 per, well, maybe not that many zeros, but it's a small percentage of people who can actually make a living. And for people like XQC, a lot of their advantages were they were first off in early, which was big. We're coming into the Twitch scene very late, or at least I am, because I started streaming in Twitch in 2020, so that's getting in pretty late. We're also streaming a relatively low viewer game, while he's streaming things that are much higher. I mean, if you look at the Gods Unchained category, at its peak, you might see 200 viewers, and if you're an elite streamer, you might get half of those. But ultimately, 100 viewers, you're not really making too much money off of that. And especially if you run stuff like giveaways, then you're not really getting anywhere. So to make it professionally on Twitch, you need to have a large audience, and that's something that, unless GU booms, will not be kind of attainable within this community. So I don't do it professionally. I don't plan to ever do it professionally. I mean, I would love it if I could get to that level and have, 30,000 people watching me. I would do all sorts of stuff, but realistically, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, and it sucks to hear you say it, because you hate to hear someone you look up to say that, but it's also true, because it's also true. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is, and we just have to admit it. Like, I totally agree with you, and I'm doing this whole thing just out of my passion for GU as well, and trying to bring people not just into the game, but retain the people through a different type of media. That's why I'm doing this type of thing, so if GU were to reach Hearthstone levels at some point, then the opportunity would be there for multiple people within the community to go professional in it. Of course, now, would that necessarily be people who are existing already in the community? Because when you have that big of type of a player boom, you're probably going to have some established brands from other games come in and start competing. And do the OGs, like somebody like me or you, get the advantage or get a significant slice of the pie? Or do we kind of just get hidden underneath the really large streamers? Like, for instance, if XQC decided that he wanted to play Gods Unchained, he would just take all the viewers. And it's difficult for the people who are kind of smaller or mid to compete with the established brand like that. No, I hear you. And I think the answer to that's both. I think there might be a couple people, but the majority would just fade. And I think that's just the sad truth. But I think the truth is we just look at the game, the thing that takes up a bunch of our time, and we try to make that better and more interactive in different spaces and more enjoyable for more people. I mean, that's all we can really do right now, right? I mean, have you got any other ideas on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're investing a lot of time into this, and we just need to make it fun for our time. And honestly, financially, this game has been very kind to me already. Granted, I was in earlier than a lot of people, got the benefits from the airdrops, and I'm a demigod. That's
nice.
I call myself the free-to-play demigod because I've paid myself anything that I originally had back in the game plus some, and I'm a demigod, so everything I have is free, and that means if everything goes to zero, I'm still great. But I'm hoping that it doesn't, because what I have right now has significant value if you look at it from a USD standpoint.
No, I hear you, and I'm putting, honestly, Fakemews, I'm putting my bets on GU doing well, and I hope it does, and I hope that both you and I are there doing our thing in the future, bro. Like, I'd really love to see you killing it like you are now, but in the future, but expanded. You know what I'm saying? I think you'd be a great community head.
Yeah, I would love to see GU take off and have Hearthstone type of numbers and be hosting, tournaments with millions of dollars on the line and yelling at people for how bad they play. Stuff like that would have thrill me. As a caster, I'm one of the meaner ones because I'm pretty harsh on every misplay I see. I don't hold back. So maybe that's another reason why GU didn't want me hosting tournaments, because they see me do it in the past, and I just roast people constantly.
That's huge. Well, brother, I'm really happy that you decided to have a chat with me, and I hope you maybe make some time for me in the future. And I'd love to chat to you more, but we're going to have to wrap it up. But have you got any final notes, my dude, to say to anyone?
No, I mean, we've talked about a lot of topics, and I go on long rants, as you've probably already seen in this
I love it.
I'm more of a ranter, and that's why I'm a Twitch streamer. Is because you can go on rants when it's just you on stream, and it's good because it fills the dead airtime. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
I love it.
Come into my stream and talk to me about anything you want. Pretty much nothing is off limits as long as it's just not being racist or anything inappropriate. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about almost anything with you.
I love it. Well, guys, make sure to check out Fakemews. He's one of the best and most memorable streamers on GU. And I hope I hope you go over there, and I'll put the link down the bottom. So thanks so much, Fakemews. It's been awesome, man. And I hope we can do this maybe again in a couple of weeks if you're up for
sure.
it.
It's been fun, and I wish you all the best, and see you around the community.
Yeah, awesome, brother. All right, have a good one, man.
All right, see ya.
See you, bro.